I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, March the 7th, brought to you in part by Joplin Regional Stockyards. Big run this Monday, and I fear it's going to be sharply lower. And it's kind of a fire sale, and we're seeing that a lot of places. People have been holding back since this latest black swan, this Russia invasion of Ukraine has started, and the markets have been plummeting. But now it's getting to the point where they're not thinking that it's going to bounce back anytime soon, so they just want to go ahead and get them sold while they're still worth some pretty good money. But a big run in Joplin. I assume they're going to have a pretty good run in Oklahoma City also. But I tell you what, this deal is getting scary, and I don't like to be a fear monger, and I don't like to spread bad news and everything. But talking to a lot of people in my travels, and a lot of people that I depend on for information and things, nobody sees any light at the end of the tunnel here. This deal is bad, and it's all because of Putin. And Putin is ruining the world. He's even ruining his own country. His currency is worth pennies on the dollar. Which I know it's not the dollar, but same difference. But he's ruined that. He's ruined the stock market in Russia. Of course, his economy is only about the size of Texas or something, so it's not as big a deal as what it would be if it's us. But it's ruining everything. I mean, everybody's stock market's down. Everything's getting short, and it's all about the oil. This world still runs on oil. Everything's got to be delivered. Everything has to be kept warm, and it all it starts and ends with oil. And of course, Putin realizes that, and that's one of the main reasons he wants to take Ukraine back. But the oil overnight, Sunday night, I saw it as high as $12 a barrel higher. $12 a barrel higher, guys. It already went over $100 a barrel last week. So, I mean, it's just going to keep going up. Western Europe has decided that, they're going to play hardball, with Russia on some sanctions. And so they're getting the majority of their oil shipments from them. Well, if they cut them off, where's that oil going to come from? It's going to come from somewhere else, and not from us, because we're not oil exporters anymore. We're too worried about the trees and things like that, and the Green New Deal and all that. So we can't help them out. We're not going to be able to take advantage of that. What little oil that we're pumping here in this country, that it's going to be a higher price. That's going to be good for the oil producers, but they're not going to be stepping up the production anywhere. We get 10% of the oil we use from Russia. Well, we're likely going to stop doing that. Well, that's just going to make the price go up more. And wherever Western Europe gets their oil, it's just going to make the price go up even more. Well, when we're talking about the cattle markets, we've got ethanol plants and things. Whenever the oil goes up, the grains are going to go up too. Corn was up about $1 a bushel last week only. Kansas City hard red winter wheat was up over $3 last week. It's unbelievable, what it's done. Well, you see what it's done to our feeder cattle markets. They're just plummeting, and the horrible drought that we haven't even talked about is persisting. And we've gotten some wintry weather, and there's been some places got some snowfall around the edges, but your southern plains is still in a drastic, terrible drought. I went to a bull sale in Clinton, Oklahoma there. I mean, dry as a popcorn fart, with 200 miles in any direction there, or more if you're going west. But it's just really dry. I mean, people aren't even talking about the war and the oil there. They're just talking about how dry it is. It's really dry. I did see some cattle out on wheat as I drove from Clinton, Oklahoma, down to Fort Worth to go to the American Rodeo. Which the Brazilians took all the money there. It's just about like the meatpacking industry. But, I did see some cattle that were out on wheat. I could see a few sprigs of wheat out there, but every place that I saw cattle out on wheat, for the most part, I saw round bales out there and troughs. So, you know, that's kind of an expensive place to pin cattle up and feed them if you're going to have to do that. But we're running short of feed. The feed's gotten extremely high, and there's no place to put any cheap pounds on the cattle, running them out. And we've got to get some moisture here. You know, it's not going to be that long before we start turning our grass cattle out. Middle of April is when you turn cattle out in the Flint Hills there. It'll rain in April, it always does in that part of the country, but you get to western Oklahoma, the Texas Panhandle, eastern Colorado, the entire state of New Mexico, it's horrible dry, and that's just compounding the pressure on things. But you know, the board has been falling out of bed really fast. A lot of that is from hedging pressure, which you can't blame people for trying to get a hold of what they can get. For you guys that's been looking at these handsome prices down the line on the board, and you haven't hitched your wagon to them through an LRP or through a hedge or something, you need to do it. You need to protect yourself. This deal's not going to be over anytime soon. If one side or the other wins or backs down on this war over there that's happening in Ukraine, it's not going to fix things automatically. It's still going to be, we're still going to be facing the tough things that are making all of our inputs higher, and it's going to continue to challenge our cattle. And then we've got a lot of cattle. Nobody likes to say a wall, but we got a ton of fat cattle that are going to be ready into May, into June. And so, you know, your packers are masters at that. They're going to use their leverage. It's only 4 of them to get their heads together, guys. And they're going to use that, and it's going to be tough times. Here, you know, just a couple of weeks ago, man, everything was coming up roses, and never going to be another poor day. Cattle were getting back up to those prices that we remember from, you know, 7-8 years ago. And but this war deal has changed everything. And in the cattle markets, it's not going to spring back immediately from this. And now we've got fire sales, people dumping cattle, where we've kind of had lighter receipts here, people holding cattle back here last couple of weeks because of all this unrest. But it's not going to get any better, guys, anytime soon. So you need to protect yourself, and then the next thing you need to do is look for opportunities to get it back where it is now, because it will spring back eventually once we get things settled out. But it's going to be many months. It's not going to be weeks. Let's talk about your board. April live cattle futures, Monday was down 50 cents, Tuesday down 90, Wednesday down 42, Thursday down $1.75. Are you getting the trend here? Friday was down 257. April live cattle futures ended the week at 135.77, down $6.15 for the week. June ended the week cheaper than that. We had been running with premiums going out front. Well, everybody else knows there's a lot of cattle going to be ready in June too. June ended the week at 132.52. March feeder cattle, and you can see why they're going down. I've said it many times. Grain doesn't have anything to do with mature, ripe fat cattle, but feeder cattle, yeah, you can see what's going on with that. But Monday on your March feeder cattle contract down 230, Tuesday down $1.45. Wednesday was up 202 just because your corns weren't through the roof. Thursday back down $1.95, and Friday down 322. March feeder cattle ended the week at 153.12, down $6.90 for the week. Ouch. April ended the week at 157.25, down $7.50. Look at your grains. I talked about them a little bit, but corn ended the week at 7.56 cents a bushel, and almost everywhere you look, you know, other than just maybe right there, you know, at in the middle of the Midwest, but everywhere's running a plus basis there. I mean, your corn is costing, it's going to be costing $8 to $9 when you get down in the southern plains feeding areas. By the time you get that corn to those cattle, you know, it's not going to be a good deal. You know, these cost of gains are going to get to areas that we haven't seen for a long time. But corn was up 97 cents for the week. Beans 16.76 and a quarter to end the week. That was up 86 cents. And like I said, Kansas City wheat, $12.75 a bushel for Kansas City hard red winter wheat, up 309 3/4 cents. Wow. Fat cattle trade, of course, it's going lower, and we saw the lowest trades of the week right there at the tail end of the week. We've lost all of our leverage and no more negotiated trade than we have, and nobody seems to want to push through the mandate to get some minimum negotiated trade. I'm not saying that if we had minimums that the market wouldn't go down, but at least we'd have a little bit of leverage. But your fat cattle market was $2 to $3 lower cash. Through Thursday, they only sold 57,000 head negotiated in a 5-area feeding region. Live sales 140 to 144. Your weighted average on live steers up through Thursday was 140.76. It's going to be lower than that for the week by the time they get Friday sales in there, because the few we had were lower than that. But that was about $2.50 lower than the previous week on the weighted average. Dress sales 222 to 229. That 229 was just very early in the week on a few deals. Was mostly 223 to 225. Your weighted average on dress steers was 224.62, down about $2.40. So about $2 to $3 lower. That covers your market there on your cash fat cattle. A little bit of trade on Friday, and it was lower yet. Iowa, 1,100 head confirmed on Friday. 22,400 for the week. Live sales on Friday at 140. Dress sales 222. Nebraska, only about 400 head of mixed bag stuff on Friday, and about 21,000 for the week. Kansas had about 1,100 head confirmed on Friday. Just under 11,000 confirmed for the week. Negotiated. Live sales in Kansas on Friday, 138. We hadn't seen that until Friday, 138. And dress sales 221. Texas had a few loads there on Friday. 5,500 is all for the week, and they had some live sales at 138. So you can bet 138 is going to be the best you could hope for on our cash fat cattle this week. That's tough. Box beef cutout values continue to plummet, and this is getting to the time of the year that they should turn back around. Now, your packers could afford to give a hell of a lot more money for cattle than what they're giving, but the price they're getting for their product is continuing to drop, and it should be finding some footing here if you go back historically any time, any day now. But choice cuts down $5.11 at 255.72. Select, and this is your weighted average for all of last week's sales, selects 250.49 down 839, about $5.25 spread between your choice and select there. But we did have a impressive slaughter this last week, and packers are still making money. You know, it's more like $300 instead of you know, the $1,200 or $2,500 that they like to make. But you know, they're getting along pretty good. It doesn't ever seem to bother them whenever we have a black swan deal come in. But talk about what else is going on. We always feature a market of the month, a sale barn. We support sale barns here on the Feeder Flash. If you haven't figured that out, we support selling cattle at auction, and we support sale barns. And we always feature a market of the month, a sale barn that over the last 30 days or so had been doing a really, really good job, an exceptional job selling cattle. And this month's market of the month is Winter Livestock Auction in Winter, South Dakota. Looking back over my notes on the Feeder Flashes that I do 5 days a week here, you know, towards the end of every week there, Winter, South Dakota was coming in with some of the highest prices there. So, you know, it's a stick out deal. They're doing a really good job there selling cattle for their customers, and we just want to give them a little pat on the back and a little bit of a recognition there for being the market of the month, and congratulations to Winter Livestock Auction. Talking about your feeder cattle market, how about your real-time index brought to you by Margin Tracks by Midcon. Your real-time index, that's based on an 800-pound steer cash price up through your middle 12 states. It's just like your CME cash feeder cattle index. It's just a whole lot more current. But real-time index ended the week last week at 155.82. That was down $3.56, and that's a 7-day moving average. Your cash feeder cattle markets and your sale barns last week, for the most part, your feeder cattle, which a lot of them are big feeding calves, but the few yearlings that are around, and your feeder and your feeding calves, weighing much over 700 pounds, which a lot of them are hitting that mark now. $3 to $7 lower, in spots as much as $10 lower, and it got progressively more towards the end of the week. Got really tough on Friday and Saturday for the few sales, big sales that we have, but still, your lightweight calves and your stocker type cattle that have condition to go to grass, even if they've got some weight on them, and as high as this feed is, I tell you what, guys, you're going to take heavy cattle to grass. If they can get some that's got some condition where they haven't been supplementally fed too much, and they will really put the pounds on, and especially if you got compensatory gain, those cattle sold unevenly steady to as much as $10 higher still. So we're getting to the springtime of the year, and people buy their grass cattle earlier every year. So we're not doing it in April and May so much as we are in February and March. Talk about your sales late in the week, and mind you, as these markets go down, I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just giving you guys the market. So as much as guys like to be featured when the market's going up, your market's your market, and I'm just telling people what cattle are bringing. But Fort Scott, Kansas, and they have a really good sale there. They have good, dependable buyers in there that will give top money for cattle whenever they see it and deserve it. But I tell you what, after Friday, the board being down as hard as it was, Saturday was tough. Fort Scott, look at these loads here that I pulled out of Cattle Market Central there. There's steers and heifers in there, but you look, there's 3 loads of 9-weight steers there, and they bring from 136.10 to 137.85. You think, well, those had to, something was wrong there. That's the market, guys. Your 8-weight feeder steers are bringing in the 40s. I don't care where you're at for the most part. They just won't bring it anymore. You see a couple of loads of 800-pound heifers there and nearabouts, bringing 136 and change. That's really a hell of a price for those heifers, guys. But you got to get used to things. But I like to feature the top prices, and I'm going to tell you one now that this could be the last time we hear any prices like this for a long, long time. But at Burwell Livestock Market in Burwell, Nebraska, of course that's up on the yellow brick road, and things happen there that don't make sense, and those are the best cattle in the world in the Sandhills of Nebraska. But they had between 400 and 4,500 head of cattle there, and you look at this automated market report there, Cattle Market Central. This is unbelievable. It won't happen this week, I guarantee you. It won't happen for a long time. But you look at your best tested weights, the steers and heifers there. How about 624 head of 5-weight steer calves, average 550, weighted average price of $218.60 on all the 5-weight steers that they had at the sale barn in Burwell. 835 head. This was on Friday. 6-weight steers average 626 with a weighted average price on the 6-weight steers, all of them, of $194.54. Now they did have some reputation deals in there. Had over 1,000 head of them fancy Charolais cattle. 790 head of 7-weight steers average 717. That's the light 7s with a weighted average price of $176.72. How about your heifers? 571 head of 5-weight heifers average 556, 171.17. You look at the steer heifer discount there on your 5-weights, it's like $47, guys. But still, I mean, very, very impressive quotes all the way through here. You won't see this for a long time. 588 head of 6-weight heifers average 659 with a weighted average price of 157.20. A couple of individual quotes I thought were pretty impressive there. Late in the week, also on Friday, Lexington Livestock Market in Lexington, Nebraska sold 173 head of 797, or same as 800-pound steers, at 158.25. That's extreme top price there. And then Burwell Livestock Market, the biggest stick-out deal I saw there was 142 head, 531-pound steer calves in Burwell, Nebraska bring 235. That's your feeder flash for Monday.